Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, how are you? Hope you're having a great start to your day. And we'll wait a few moments for a few folks to come on. Wendy, good morning. First one up, Wendy, today. Okay, that I see, anyway. And Dottie, how are you? Rosalinda. And Nativity, and Rosa, and Bobby Lynn. Is that the first time, Bobby Lynn? Because I haven't seen your name before. John, two Johns. John from Elgin, Illinois, and John Brown, good morning. Lorigan, Lori, Madeleine, Freya, Orangeville, Raija. You guys are great. Thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it. Mary and Diney and Rita, good morning. Nick from our staff and Maureen. Connie, good morning. Debbie, it's raining, she says. Debbie says. Jocelyn, bonjour. Anne, how are you? Deb, good morning. Annette from Nouveau Brunswick, Yvette. And Luella, West Tennessee. Frida, right from Sudbury. Good morning, Frida. Jocelyn and Melissa from the Sioux. Francis Marie. Kevin from Oshawa. And Carice, how are you? Georgette, bonjour. Glenna, Nouveau Brunswick. Deb, Timmons, Diane, hello. Ian, good morning. Barry, Marcel, Rosalind, Denise from Kapuskasing. Santa Claus, Cap. Brenda, good morning. Mary Jane, Evelyn, Celine from Geraldton, that's very north. Lori, Georgie, good morning. Nova Scotia. Lucy, and Micheline, or Michelle, sorry. Debbie, and Wendy. Oh, Wendy, you come back up again. Thanks. Sharon in Wyoming, Claudette, and Judy. Good morning. Yolande, I was waiting for you. Come on. Johanna, Joelle, Valcaron. How are you, Joelle? Mike from Norland. Debbie Ann. Couple more. Jean, good morning. And Rachel, Sudbury. Never heard of it. Joan, Sandra, Donna. Guys, thank you so much for those who watched us last night. And Shireen, how are you? And Carol, Newfoundland. Linda. And Debbie. Now, guys, let me say this. Appreciate it. I think we had our biggest crowd on ever for any webinar was last night. Full to the brim. Now, for those who weren't able to join us last night for the webinar on energy, we're going to make it available to you. Okay, so in a few days, I don't know how they do it, but it gets cleaned up a little bit and you can watch it, okay? But we had a good, and then we had question and answer. Tony Jr. and I stayed for an hour after the actual teaching on energy, which I hope you found helpful, and we stayed and answered questions. Never get to answer all the questions, just couldn't do it. But we sure appreciate you guys, and thank you for coming on, okay? Now, a couple of studies here that I want to talk about this morning. One of them is on oxalates. Now, do you know what oxalates are? Okay. They're little crystals that your body makes from food, and oxalates are found in the vegetable kingdom. Okay. And the highest sources are in spinach, almonds, legumes. And but listen to this study. You guys are going to say, well, Dr. Martin's looking for bad news on veggies. I don't want you to live on veggies. I don't mind telling you that. I was telling you yesterday that I eat a biblical diet, not Daniel's diet. Okay? Daniel went on a 2-week, type of veggie diet. You read about it in Daniel chapter 1. And it was all about, he didn't want to eat any meat that was sacrificed to idols. So we don't have that problem today. And but a lot of people have taken that and said, well, the Daniel diet is the way I should eat to get healthy. But guys, if you look specifically at the Bible, I looked this up a couple of days ago. Vegetables are mentioned 13 times and meat is mentioned 290 times. Are vegetables good for you? Yes. But listen to this study, okay? Listen to this study. Dietary oxalates, okay? Dietary oxalates can be a factor in heart disease if you don't eat them with calcium. Okay? If you don't eat them with calcium, they can harden your arteries. Oxalate. Now, one thing we know about oxalates, they can give you kidney stones. You can have 2 types of kidney stones. Uric acid. You're not clearing uric acid. And I promise, we're going to do a deep dive on uric acid. Okay? I promise. It's not that I've never talked about it, that I think uric acid, in my opinion, is a biomarker. We all make uric acid. All of us. It's a byproduct of our metabolism is uric acid. The problem is when you don't clear uric acid. Now, oxalates are different. Oxalates come from foods that we eat. And they're found in the vegetable kingdom. The highest sources would be spinach, nuts, seeds, almonds. A lot of people take a trip with me through the grocery store. Okay? I love going to the grocery store. I do. I love reading labels. I like to look at what people are buying. And I'd like to set up a little pulpit there. Now, they would throw me out. But I would like to, if I could, don't buy that. That meatless craze. When I see that, I get a splitting headache. My blood pressure goes up. When I see the meatless section. Okay? When I go by the dairy and I see almond milk, ooh, I get a splitting headache. Well, it must be good for me. Who told you that? Not me. Why do you want to use almond milk? Well, first of all, you know me and milk. Unless you have a cow in the backyard, don't drink milk. You don't need it. But here's what it's saying, okay, this study. You have to break it down to get it. Oxalates come from veggies and legumes. Peanut butter. I like peanut butter. It's not good for you, but I like it. It's too much omega-6 and it's got oxalates. Okay? Well, what oxalates do in the absence of calcium. Now, where do you get your calcium, guys? How do you get calcium? Milk. Not almond milk. Dairy, butter. Butter has calcium. Right? Cream has calcium. Don't drink milk, and don't put milk in your coffee, and don't put almond milk in your coffee. Put cream. Cream has calcium. If there's any oxalates in your diet, it'll help to neutralize that. See, people don't take calcium as a supplement either, because it never gets to its intended destination. People don't realize that. Calcium in a supplement is something I've been screaming against for as long as I've been around in the nutrition industry. Never liked it, even though it was the #1 supplement, because women bought the lie that calcium in a supplement was going to help their bones. Medicine pushed it. I just get a calcium supplement. And today, of course, they have drugs for osteoporosis. I would generally tell you, don't touch them with a 100-foot pole. Massive side effects. And they're really ineffective. If you want to, osteoporosis, okay, is anorexia of the bones, in my opinion. Osteoporosis, men and women can get it, mostly in women, is anorexia of the bones, and more particular, anorexia of the muscles. When you got no muscle, your bone quality goes downhill big time. But isn't it interesting that they're talking about oxalates hardening the arteries in the absence of calcium? You see, guys, let me share something I want you to think about for a minute. God's got it right. Stuff is put in together, guys. Okay, so when you eat a piece of steak, for example, right? Very high in protein. I mean, other than liver that I don't like, I like it in a sense that it's good for you, but I don't like the taste of it. So you don't hear me talking about liver too much. Now, don't hold that against me. Is it good for you? Yeah, it's the #1 food in the world on the food chain. But because you know me, I love steak. Well, steak is the perfect food. Do you know that steak has calcium? It does. Do you know that steak has magnesium? It does. Do you know that steak's got vitamin A and vitamin K2 and nada, all of it. Perfect food. But what they're saying here is oxalates in the absence of calcium You don't get enough calcium in the vegetable kingdom, guys. For mice, there's not enough calcium there. You need to get your dairy. That's why I don't want you to ditch dairy. I want you to eat dairy, butter, cheese, cream. Because it's got perfect calcium. Perfect. The way it's intended. And then if you're going to have some vegetables, it will neutralize the oxalates in veggies. Now, you know me, I'm not big on nuts and seeds. I'm not saying you could never have them. I'm just telling you. Last night we were asked a question about diverticulosis. And I say, well, usually, okay, I know how to fix diverticulosis. Why do we have so much of it today? One of them is antibiotics. It literally not only changes the microbiome, but can change the lining of the gut and makes one susceptible to diverticulosis. That's one. Number two is people think they're rabbits, and they're not. My name is Susie, and I'm a rabbit. No, you're not, but you're eating like a rabbit. You're insisting on a high-fiber diet. You like your cereals. You like your fibers. You like those salads. But you're not a rabbit. Your gut wasn't made for that. Yeah, your gut wasn't made for that. So now you got a lot of roughage, and roughage will really irritate the bowel. And for a lot of people, it creates diverticulosis. One of the ways I fixed it was getting people away from eating all that roughage. And they used to look at me like I had two heads. Fiber's overrated. And especially if you got IBS and digestive issues and diverticulosis, you're irritating it. But interesting about the oxalates, right? Like in the absence of calcium, they harden up your arteries. See, and like I said, God gives you, for example, a piece of cheese. What's it got in there? It's got calcium, right? It's got fat. Fat don't make you fat. It's got saturated fat. Right? That's going to harden your arteries. No, it doesn't. Oxalates do. It's got calcium. It's got fat. It's got vitamin K2, because what does vitamin K2 do? It takes calcium that you're eating in your cheese and it puts it in the bones rather than letting it stay in the bloodstream. So make sure, folks, if you're going to insist on eating veggies, okay, that you make sure you're taking cheese with it. Butter. Because it's got calcium. And steak. It's got calcium. Interesting study, isn't it? I guarantee you that the mainstream media, I guarantee it, won't talk about it because it's going to go against their narrative. The cereal companies won't allow it. The big 10 food companies won't allow it because it goes against their narrative. Can't be anything wrong with oxalates. And this is one of the reasons. Okay, guys, let me just give you another reason to do the reset. Okay? Somebody said something last night about the reset, and or asked me about the reset. I just saw it. I didn't get a chance to answer it. But about weight loss and the reset. Okay, and I've answered this many times, but I'm just going to say it again. The reset, primarily, number one, is to fix something that's going on in our society today. 88% of the population have this condition that is very dangerous. It's called metabolic syndrome. And metabolic syndrome, 88% of the population. 12% of the population are healthy metabolically. Well, as a matter of fact, there was a study that came out this morning. Let me just shock you. No, I won't shock you. Where did I see it? I wrote it down here. 1/3. Listen to this. 1/3 of children in the United States, 1/3, 33%, have a condition called pre-diabetes. 1/3. If there's been a catastrophe in our society, health-wise, it is the biggest story, or ought to be, in the news. The catastrophe of children's health. And the Big 10, I call them the Big 10 food companies. From Kraft, Heinz, they're together now. PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, you name it, okay? You name those 10 big companies in the food industry. The grocery store, they run it. And what have we created? A disaster. And meaning those children, if they're pre-diabetic, you know what that means? And again, I always say this, it's really important that you understand this. Tony Jr. said it last night during the webinar. You know what he said? Blood sugar is tightly regulated. Tightly regulated. Okay? I use the illustration. Eat 20 donuts. Don't do it, but I want you to imagine like you ate 20 donuts. Within an hour of eating 20 donuts, your blood sugar is going to come back to that tight range. That's how bad sugar is for you. Because your insulin just won't let your blood sugar go crazy. High or low. Has to be tightly regulated. Now you guys know more right now. If you just understand what I just told you, you know more, even though you know this is taught day one in medical school. But they forget. The reset was created to fix insulin resistance, which is at the root of metabolic syndrome. So if a kid, 1/3, imagine, 1/3 of the children in the USA, according to the study, are pre-diabetic. Guys, that's a disaster. It is so enormous, so the future of healthcare is at stake. It's unreal. Because these kids, if they're pre-diabetic, already have metabolic syndrome. What's that mean? They're on their way to cancer. They're on their way to heart disease. They're on the road. You know, Matthew 7, chapter 7. You know, don't go down the broad road that leads to destruction, Jesus said. Get on the narrow road that leads to life. Now, he wasn't talking nutrition, but I am. The broad road, guys, is metabolic syndrome. And people are down that road and they don't realize the significance of metabolic syndrome, how dangerous it is. And it's all to do with the diet. It's all to do with, oh, Dr. Martin, I need carbs. No, you don't. It's all to do with the cereals and the soda and the juices, even milk. Today's milk, grocery store milk. You might as well give your kid a Pepsi, especially when you pour it on cereal. Ooh, how much sugar there is in there. But metabolic syndrome, 88% of the population, the reset is meant to fix that. Because it gets at the root of the problem in metabolic syndrome. And, you know, look, it's what you take out of your diet. First of all, imagine no sugar, honey. No crappy carbs with those vegetable, oh, I hate even using the word vegetable oils. I mean the industrialized synthetic oils that are found in the middle aisles of your grocery store and fast food, where they cook the chicken fingers and the fries and whatever in the bad oil. Poison, stay away. And then, so you're not eating sugar. You're not eating crappy vegetable oils. You're not eating oxalates. Who knew? Who knew? Okay, so that's, you take that away. And then the good news about the reset. The good news. It not only takes away the bad, but it gives you the best. Eggs, meat, and cheese. I want you, and butter. I want you on dairy, guys. I want you on dairy. I want you on dairy. Okay? So that's really important because look what's happening. A third. Oh, I'm just going to make a statement here. It's more than that. That's the ones they know about in terms of pre-diabetic. That means their sugar is still normal, but it's normal high. And as I was explaining last night about metabolic syndrome, it's characterized of what goes on in the liver. Not liver that you eat, your liver. All starts in the liver. You know? The Rodney Dangerfield of your body. Because nobody gives it any credit. They don't think about the liver until it doesn't work. And right along with this headline, by the way, right along with this headline is, you know, they did it was in the study, but right along with the headline, they were talking about the scourge in our society today of fatty liver, but they never put it together. In the article, they just said, oh yeah, and these kids, most of them got some form of fatty liver. Imagine, kids, fatty liver. Well, their Costco parking lot is full. Their Costco parking lot is in bad shape because it's full of cars. There's no room to put anything else in it. Their liver is full of fat. Glycogen stored. Why? Because they're eating sugar and especially high fructose corn syrup. I'd love to be, like I say, a pulpit, have a little pulpit in the grocery store so I could preach. Don't buy that. I'd set up in the cereal section. Mom, what are you buying that for? That's not good for your kids. I'd set up in the dairy section when they were getting a bottle of milk or almond milk. Ooh, or soy. Ooh. I was watching a movie. One of my favorite movies of all time is Gran Torino. And Clint Eastwood going, like he's, you see it in the movies, he's always angry. He's going, I feel like Clint Eastwood. When I see bad choices. Look, folks, I know I can't do it for you. I want to bring you information so you make the right choices. Guys, what is going to happen to our society down the road? There's nothing that bothers me more that we have a world with blindfolders on. Blind. Because all the tea in China is not going to save us. Not all the money in the world to save our healthcare system if we just continue on the same road. And that we talk about, look, and I don't want to get into politics, but this is political to some extent. They miss the elephant in the room when they focus in on the climate and they don't talk about 1/3 of kids are pre-diabetic. What is that going to mean? It's a disaster. A disaster coming to a theater near you. Those poor kids. Now, is that political enough for you? But I mean it, guys. The disaster coming. It's already here. But just think of the future. It's getting worse because people don't want to take the bull by the horns. You know, we got to do what we did years ago when there was a campaign against smoking. What a great idea. I used to scream at it. What are you smoking for? Well, you didn't have to tell people, even coming into their office. Imagine. You know, I tell you the history of this, and it's comical to some extent, isn't it? Like my dad, you know, his patients, here, have another cigarette. Get the crap out of your lungs, you know. You know, cigarettes will make you cough it out. But then they had a big campaign, okay, in my lifetime against smoking. And you know, young people, you know, to them, that's like second nature. They know smoking ain't good for them. I mean, I'm not saying none of them smoke. There isn't anybody that's, you know, doing this, you know, smoking and saying, this is good for me. I need this because it's good for me. Now, they might be addicted, but they're not saying, well, you know what, this is good for my health. Well, at least I hope they're not. You know what I mean? Because what did we do? We had a campaign. But I'm telling you, because like I said, there are 10 companies that run the food industry. And they're never going to allow a campaign against sugar. And especially high fructose corn syrup that they add into almost everything they make. They won't allow it. And they buy, I told you what the food industry, which wasn't nearly as powerful as it is today, bought off Harvard researchers to agree that fat gave you cholesterol, and cholesterol was at the root of heart disease instead of sugar in 1965. Anyway, Clint Eastwood. Okay, guys. Okay. My blood pressure's come down. I'm calming myself. Guys, we appreciate you. And guess what tomorrow is? Question and Answer Friday. Okay? Question and Answer Friday. We love you. I know I tell you that, but I mean it. Tony Jr. and I talked about it last night, how much we appreciate our audience. We can fill up a webinar in the middle of the week, and unreal. And people stayed on. And we appreciate that. Okay, we love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.